My name is Keith Carlock. I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky, and this is my last in a 4-part public access series about my theories in invisibility and holodeck technologies for the year. I believe I have discussed everything concerning my work in the last 3 public access shows, both my basic practical applications to invisibility, adaptive camouflage, and holodeck virtual immersion theories related to off-the-shelf technologies, and my attempts at a cosmic application to theoretical physicist Professor Leonard Susskind's established holographic principles of black holes extended to the universe to create my amended invisible holographic principle of black holes extended to the universe, a potentially revolutionary new concept. I believe that all of my previous shows will be shown on Owensboro Time Warner Cable for some time to reach as wide an audience as possible. I can be reached at kcarlock1973 at yahoo.com or K small case letters KCARLOCK and the numbers 1973 at yahoo.com. I have a Facebook group titled Invisibility parentheses adaptive camouflage and holodeck parentheses virtual immersion theory that shows and explains my ideas as well as the work of others in these 2 fields. I sometimes rant and rave in my group, but I've had my work deliberately suppressed by the Messenger Inquirer for exactly 20 years now, since the summer of 1996, all because I never sucked up to the people I knew at the paper or their professor friends in school, and even just the time I've had with my theories is far more noteworthy than a bunch of old retirees building birdhouses on the weekends in the Regent section. It's a matter of principle. They have continuously broken a major tenet of the journalist's creed. I believe that suppression of the news for any consideration other than the welfare of society to be indefensible for 20 years now, and for such petty reasons. I know I now have social media to get my work in front of an audience, and I have Time Warner Cable, but it's still a matter of principle. The Messenger Inquirer is corrupt and behold to the pockets of the elite in this small town, not city. Let me briefly go over my discoveries. This is what you would find on my Facebook group, and one of my major links, one of my major photo albums. That would be the first image. These are just the textual part of the images. This is what you would see, the next image, the first image of my photo album after the introductory image. This is my concept of a light interface. A shape within a shape, three-dimensional volume within a three-dimensional volume, twin volumes, but concentrated to send light through as it's going through the space that the object is resting in, as if the object wasn't there, but in a more concentrated form. This is just a three-dimensional perspective of the interface that of the object that the interface is resting in a three-dimensional volume. See, the interface takes the same shape. My concept of the light interface, the thing that makes invisibility and holodeck technology possible and creates their inverse relationship, the interface takes the same shape as the object being made invisible, but in a concentrated form hooked up to the surface with fiber optics and three-dimensional lenticular technology, and sends light through the interface like the void of the object, as if the object wasn't there in space. This is another example of my interface. It's a battle suit with a puppet interface inside. The battle suit sends light through itself and in through the puppet interface in the back hump of the battle suit, and light goes through the object as if the object wasn't there. You can't do this with metamaterials. You can only send light through an object with an interface that moves like a puppet in step with the battle suit. Anything with moving parts needs an interface, and that's my concept of invisibility and its byproduct, holodeck technology within the interface. This shows what light would look. This shows what the typical idea of sending light through an object would look like if you use fiber optic lines to link one 3D picture element to every other 3D picture element all along the surface of an object. In this case, it's a square or the cross section of a cube. It would be impossible to link every 3D picture element to every other one with this one-to-many scenario of connecting one three-dimensional picture element to all the other three-dimensional picture elements. My solution is what I've been showing you all along. Fiber optic bundles to connect every three-dimensional picture element to their counterpart on the interface, which is the same shape as the object that you want to make invisible, with their counterparts being exact, but on a more concentrated form, and light going through the interface and going out the other side, because you're recreating the space that the object is taking place in, and you're reproducing the volume, the shape volume that the light would travel through as if the object wasn't there, invisibility. And if you think about the interface, if you stepped inside the interface, you would see light coming through the interface three-dimensionally, painting three-dimensional murals all over the interior walls of the interface, thus creating a holodeck. This is the inverse relationship between invisibility and holodeck technology. You turn an invisible object outside in, you have a holodeck. You turn a holodeck inside out, and you have invisibility. This is my main discovery. This is my biggest discovery, and I'm going to apply it to a cosmic theory soon in this video. This is the person standing inside an interface. In this case, this is a spherical interface, meaning that light travels through it at regular intervals. Any other shape would have less than three-dimensional solid resolution, invisible or holodeck resolution. A perfect invisible object would be a sphere, because light would travel through it at regular intervals. Any other shape would have less three-dimensional solid resolution. The perfect shape for a holodeck would be the interior of a three-dimensional sphere with my three-dimensional picture elements, because light would travel through it at regular intervals. Any other shape would have less three-dimensional resolution, but it's possible to increase the resolution, of course. This is my idea of an artificial parallel reality. I call it an artificial parallel reality orb, because you're having one interface hooked up to the interior of the outer invisible sphere, while you have another interface producing its own holodeck based on either a computer program or a recording of a scenery or something. This shows what you can do with invisibility and holodeck technology. They're inverse forms of each other. You turn one inside out or outside in, you have the other. And you can use an interface to produce a holodeck while using another interface to make its shell, its invisible sphere, invisible to the outside world. This shows another of my interior holodeck ideas, how you can film an object within inside a sphere to make it appear as an object that's floating right inside the interface, not just the outside environment, but right inside the interface. This shows telepresence. Star Trek has never thought of this idea, but if you could film somebody in one holodeck, you can converse with somebody on a holodeck of another starship by going into their own chambers and having their signals connected to each other. Nobody's ever thought about a holodeck connection on the Star Trek Generation series or on the movies that's been made, but this is how a telepresence would be presented in a starship holodeck to holodeck telepresence. Okay, that's okay. This is what I call a theory of ghost interfacing, where two perfectly invisible objects meet each other. If they're perfectly invisible to their outside environment, then they shouldn't be able to make contact. But this is a theory for when we have replication technology and stuff. This is way in the future, but I've thought about this stuff a lot. This is how you take a picture. This is how you imagine taking a picture for a lenticular box, the low-tech proof of the invisible sphere, or the low-tech proof of invisibility and holodeck technology. You take two pictures. On the top picture, you take two pictures alongside each other for the sides to join together, and then on the bottom picture, you take a picture going straight on for the 6 panels of the box that are straight on view of the outside scenery. This picture shows once you get the pictures developed, how to put the pictures together to build a lenticular box. It shows you how to lay them out on the floor before you start splicing them together. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you've probably seen my actual lenticular box, but they're coming up in the next few pictures. But this shows how to splice the pictures together. It's really complicated. You have to be basically cognizant to be able to make a lenticular box or be able to even conceive it. This shows how to cut the pictures for a lenticular box. You have to use 2 razors and 1 X-Acto knife or 1 utility knife, whatever it's called, art knife. You have to use 2 razors to be able to create depth within the half cut series along a cut line on a picture to be able to bend them into each other, to be able to splice them into each other. This shows the low-tech, proof of my work of my invisibility holodeck inverse relationship to each other. One shows an image. One shows a lenticular box with its outside low-tech invisibility form, as exterior splice view panorama, and the next square with the lines going through it, the next cube with the lines going through it, shows the interior holodeck, low-tech holodeck splice view panorama, interior splice view panorama form. This is what a lenticular box is capable of, and it proves my theory that invisibility and holodeck technology are exactly geometrically inversely related to each other. This simply shows the 3 axis, splice view axis of the lenticular box. You can see one angle has louvers that are painted yellow. You can see one side where the louvers are painted brown, and you can see going around it where the louvers are painted red. Those are just edge-on views, but but there's more colors for the flat-on pictures, the 6 flat pieces that make up a lenticular box in its beginning before the louvers are added onto it. But this shows the 3 main axis of a low-tech proof of my invisibility holodeck technology theories. This shows what a lenticular box would look like from inside in low-tech invisibility holodeck mode. If you had a lenticular box as large as a room, you could produce the old Smothers Park down there at the river with the pictures I still have on CD disc. You could reproduce a view of the Ohio River, and I'm getting ready to get to my pictures with the old Smothers Park on it. But that's a holodeck you could experience in low-tech still life or whatever holodeck mode. This is my lenticular box. This shows a picture aiming towards the bridge past the Charles E. Shelton Vietnam Veterans Memorial of the old Smothers Park. And this is my real life lenticular box where I use my theories to build what I have now. That's one image. This is looking towards the river park and the office building that has now become the 14 WFIE news studio in Owensboro. I don't know if you can see it too well. Okay. This is an image looking towards a gazebo. I mean, not towards the gazebo, looking partially away from the gazebo towards the American Legion of the old Smothers Park. This is photographed back in 2008. This is an image looking away from the gazebo at an alternate angle. From the gazebo looking out towards the river. I should have taken a picture of the gazebo itself, but I wasn't thinking. Well, I took a flat, straight-on picture, so I do have one in my photo CD disc. This is the origami of the lenticular box. If you folded a flat plane of a paper with color-coded sides, if you fold it up, you can create a panel for the lenticular box. It's not true origami because you wouldn't cut and you wouldn't paste, but this is the best thing I can come to origami for my lenticular box. This, it shows how a box, 6 panels, would be shrunk down to the size of a lenticular box with all the color-coded sides connecting each adjacent angle to each other. This shows my proposal for a 3-dimensional picture element for my high-tech applications of my theories to make invisibility and holodeck technologies possible. And I'm still out on that. I'm not sure if I believe it myself or not. This shows my cubitatahedron close packing of spheres in 2 different forms, and this shows my pixelization of an invisible sphere. Okay. This is my okay, I need to read this to you. Let me read this to you. This is my application of my low-tech ideas to my high-tech ideas, to my cosmic scenarios. Theoretical physicist Professor Leonard Susskind, in a dispute with Stephen Hawking concerning the information paradox of black holes, came up with his holographic principle. He came to the conclusion that all the information of anything that fell into a black hole is written on the 2-dimensional surface of the black hole's event horizon, much like the surface of a holographic plate can produce 3-dimensional images of the 2-dimensional information of the plate. He extended this idea to the universe itself, called the holographic principle of the universe. It says that we actually exist as 2-dimensional information on the boundary of the universe, which produces our 3-dimensional world. With my discovery of the inverse relationship between invisibility and holodeck technologies on a basic practical level, I think that the holographic principle should be amended to form an invisible holographic principle of black holes extended to the universe. You can't have one without the other. They are 2 sides of the same coin. You can't have holography, parentheses, holodeck, without its invisible aspect. This could account for the invisible parts of our reality, such as time, imaginary numbers, virtual particles, and dark matter energy. Trying to find clues to the existence of this invisible aspect of my proposed amended invisible holographic principle, I first realized that if the universe had no beginning but always existed in its quantum potential before the singularity of the Big Bang, this is one place to look for this invisible aspect of the universe. Think of the Big Bang singularity as a point from our substrate of reality that could be compared to a visual horizon. Before the Big Bang, the universe was invisible, existing in a quantum potential. After it crossed the Big Bang visual horizon of the singularity, it became a holographic universe. This is one instance of my invisible holographic principle of the universe. In another instance, if our universe is infinite, we would never be able to see other parts of the universe beyond our cosmological visual horizon, what's called the Hubble volume. It says that there is a boundary from our place in the universe that we can never see or visit within our infinite space. This is another instance of the invisible aspect of my amended invisible holographic principle of the universe. These two examples both share some sort of visual horizon that separates the invisible universe from the holographic universe. Well, I guess that's it. Let me continue with what I had written down. If any of you viewers can show my work to your professors or anyone else that can help me with my theories, please do. But I don't count on working with professors behind the scenes because most suffer from academic elitism and wouldn't give anyone like me a chance unless their conclusions were held up to public scrutiny. That's why I wanted the Messenger Inquirer to cover my work, to be able to have a respectable local professor view my work and give his or her opinion on the feasibility of my theories and have them held up to public scrutiny, along with having the public given access to my group to decide if the professor is being honest or if he or she is hiding behind academic elitism and not giving me a chance. I've had my work since the New Year winter of 1992, so I should know what I'm talking about. I've been in and out of hospitals for 20 years now for what the folks at the Messenger Inquirer knew all along wasn't delusional ideas. The Evansville Courier and Press covered my work back in 2005, but the well-meaning reporter didn't quite understand me. Thanks for hearing me out.